pricing is actually 95% psychology, but only about 5% math. People don't judge a price rationally, but instead make emotional decisions about whether they're going to buy something based on the invisible signals that your price and how it's presented are sending. Because psychology says that your price doesn't just tell people what something costs. It tells them how valuable you are, how serious your business is, and whether you're worth hiring or buying from at all. When you get your pricing right using psychology, you can make more money, attract better clients, and even work fewer hours. But if you get it wrong, you can not only leave money on the table, but you can actually kill your business. And how do I know all this stuff works? Because I've used buyer psychology to help create over $250 million in sales for my clients, from solo founders to small and medium-sized businesses, all the way up to Fortune 500 brands like Microsoft, McDonald's, and many more. I'm going to show you what psychological pricing is and share a simple 3-step framework on how to use it so your prices help you grow and don't hold you back. Okay, so you're probably asking yourself, what is psychological pricing? Psychological pricing is a type of pricing strategy that takes into account the quirks of how our brains process numbers and make purchase decisions. It is not about manipulating buyers, but it is about acknowledging that people don't really know how much something should or shouldn't cost. We use our environment and context clues to try to figure out if a price is fair. So a good price, a lot of quotation marks in this video, depends on the brand, the product or service, and the environment surrounding them. And this is called a rational value assessment, by the way. And it's the reason that Starbucks can charge $7 for a cup of coffee, the same cup of coffee that McDonald's sells for $1. Because Starbucks has designed the experience and the environment and the context clues around their coffee to make it feel higher quality, make it feel like a better customer experience, and therefore worth a premium price. And the great thing about psychological pricing is that it works for all kinds of businesses. So whether you sell services, like I do, or physical products, like I also do, or if you want people to buy because you offer the lowest prices, like a Walmart, or if you want people with more money to pay you a premium for a luxury product or service. And by the way, this is something I help my clients do every single day inside of one-on-one coaching with me and my program, Chief Business Co-Pilot. You can learn more about both in the links in the description or visit chiefbusinesscopilot.com. So here's why psychological pricing matters if you want to attract more and better customers and clients. Your prices are what I call an invisible signal that you're sending to your potential buyers. Whether you know it or not, it's happening. It's not that low prices are bad or that you should just charge more just because you want to. Alex Hormozy, I'm looking at your direction. Because how your prices are structured and how high or low they are will send out invisible signals, just like your brand or your marketing or your logo or your product quality or your packaging. Buyers might not be able to consciously articulate why a product or service feels better or worse to buy, but those invisible signals help them figure out if it does. You just need to make sure that your signals are all aligned so that you're sending a clear message that your ideal buyers can see and understand and that feels meaningful to them, whether that happens consciously or not. Okay, so here's a quick example. If you're selling logo design for $50, you're going to attract very different buyers than if you're offering logo design for $50,000. That $50,000 price tag alone is going to weed out small businesses, brands that don't take design seriously or don't understand branding or don't understand the importance of a logo, and people who will haggle over a few dollars. They're completely gone, eliminated. And if you offer a logo design service that's worth $50,000, tailored for the types of big brands that will pay $50 or $500 or $1 million or beyond for logo design, then $50,000 is a more appropriate price for you to charge. However, if you're throwing their brief into an AI tool and spitting back an answer in like 15 minutes, then $50 is a better match for the level of service and expertise that you're offering. If you take that $50,000 and throw a logo into an AI tool and spit it back, they are not going to be very happy. And by the way, if you're saying to yourself, I spend a lot of time on these logos. I really do a lot of work and I only charge $50. Well, then you need to charge more. Okay. But how much more? Well, that's what my 3-part framework is going to help you figure out. This is called the psychological pricing pyramid, and it's a really, really simple psychology-based framework that I created and I use with my clients inside of one-on-one coaching and Chief Business Copilot to help them design their prices with intention, based off the subconscious invisible psychological signals that prices send. By the way, if you want a free copy of the psychological pricing pyramid, along with a worksheet on how to use it, then check the link in the description for a download. So there are 3 layers to the psychological pricing pyramid. So we're going to start at the bottom with the very first one, context. So context is everything that surrounds your price. It might be your website design, your photographs, case studies, the words you use, your brand, your aesthetics. Context primes them to expect a certain price point. And one thing to remember here, by the way, your context needs to match your prices. Just imagine, if you will, walking into like a beautiful luxury boutique on Rodeo Drive and seeing everything priced at 90% off. How is that going to make you feel? Or maybe walking into a Walmart and suddenly they're selling $10,000 handbags or $200,000 sports cars out back. It just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? You don't really trust it. So when the context and the price aren't congruent, meaning they don't match, it makes it hard to trust the business because the context the products sit in and the prices that they're charging just don't match each other. So something is not right. And that mismatch can create doubt and suspicion. But a price that matches the context and environment around it will make you feel like you can rely on and trust this brand a whole lot more, which makes you more likely to buy. And that's because context sets the stage for price. The second layer of the pyramid is comparison. Because people don't judge a price on its own merit, okay? They compare it to whatever they see around it. So other brands that they might think are of as competitors or numbers that they see around the price, like a normal number versus a sale price. Here's a really quick example to help you kind of get this one. Nespresso took an everyday product, so coffee pods, and they reframed them to buyers from a kind of a way to make coffee at home to save money, like the cheap thing that you would do if you don't want to stop at the coffee shop on the way to work, to a way to create a luxury coffee experience without leaving the house. So instead of selling coffee pods, they're selling kind of a premium cafe style ritual in the home. They just changed the comparison point from comparing these pods as expensive alternatives to cheap ground coffee or instant coffee to cheaper alternatives to expensive cafe drinks. So now their buyers are going to be mentally comparing an espresso that they made at home to that $7 latte from Starbucks or their local coffee shop, instead of coffee beans, which are obviously much cheaper than Nespresso pods. By changing Nespresso's comparison point, they were able to charge a premium price for a premium product, but still make their buyers feel like they were getting a deal. Now, the top of our pricing pyramid is the most important part to get right when it comes to psychological pricing, and it really doesn't have anything to do with numbers. At this point, your buyer is subconsciously asking, okay, how meaningful is this product or service to me? And not in a general sense, right? But in a deeply personal, like this solves a problem that I care about and I need to fix way. Or maybe this gives me some kind of psychological payoff like status, or it helps me fit in with my social peers. If your offer doesn't feel meaningful to your buyers, there is no price that is going to feel like the right price. But if you can tap into what matters most to them, so if your offer feels meaningful on a personal level, then price stops being a barrier and instead it kind of acts like a psychological green light. That's why meaning is at the top of the pricing pyramid, because it's the deciding factor on whether your offer gets snapped up or if it gets ignored. Now, psychological pricing and the pricing pyramid are 2 simple ways to sell more, to make more money, and even work less doing it. If you're ready to dive into pricing your product right now, I actually created a free guide that can help you figure out if your prices are attracting or repelling buyers in about 5 minutes or less. It's called the Perfect Price Checklist Audit. You can get it at perfectpricechecklist.com or at the link in the description. Now, this video is actually the first part of a 5-part playlist where I'm going to dive into the different ways of pricing your products and services using psychology, so you can make more money and attract more buyers, all by using some really simple psychological pricing principles. Check the description for the playlist. I'm Jen Clinehens, and I'll see you in the next one.